August 6, 1945, dawned like any other day in Hiroshima, Japan. The city, bustling with activity, was unaware of the horrifying fate that awaited it. At 8:15 a.m., a blinding flash seared the sky. A US B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, had dropped the world's first atomic bomb, Little Boy. The city vanished in an inferno of unimaginable heat and fury. The explosion, equivalent to about 15,000 tons of TNT, obliterated everything within a 2-mile radius. Buildings crumbled, iron melted, and shadows were etched onto walls. The air, thick with dust and the smell of burning flesh, carried the screams of the dying. In the aftermath, over 70,000 people lay dead, and countless others suffered from radiation sickness. 3 days later, on August 9, another US bomber dropped a second atomic bomb, Fat Man, on Nagasaki, Japan. The blast, equally devastating, killed an estimated 40,000 people instantly. The horrors unleashed by these bombs sent shockwaves across the globe, marking a turning point in human history. The nuclear age had begun. Birthing the bomb, the Manhattan Project. The creation of the atomic bomb was the culmination of years of top-secret research and development, driven by the urgency of World War II. The Manhattan Project, a massive US-led effort, brought together brilliant scientists from around the world, including Albert Einstein, Enrico Fermi, and Robert Oppenheimer. The project, shrouded in secrecy, faced daunting scientific and engineering challenges. Scientists raced against time to unlock the secrets of the atom, working tirelessly in clandestine laboratories across the United States. The goal, to harness the immense power of nuclear fission, the splitting of atoms, to create a weapon of unprecedented destructive capability. The first successful test of an atomic bomb took place on July 16, 1945, at the Trinity Test Site in New Mexico. The blast, witnessed by awestruck scientists and military officials, unleashed a blinding flash and a mushroom cloud that soared miles into the sky. The test confirmed the devastating power of the atomic bomb, forever altering the course of warfare. The science of annihilation, fission, fusion, and fallout. Nuclear weapons derive their tremendous power from the processes of nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Fission bombs, like those used in World War II, work by splitting the nucleus of an atom, typically uranium or plutonium, releasing a massive amount of energy. Fusion bombs, also known as thermonuclear weapons or hydrogen bombs, are even more powerful, harnessing the energy released when two lighter atomic nuclei, such as isotopes of hydrogen, fuse to form a heavier nucleus. The detonation of a nuclear weapon produces a range of devastating effects. The initial blast wave, traveling faster than the speed of sound, levels buildings, creates hurricane-force winds, and generates intense heat capable of igniting fires over a wide area. The blinding light from the explosion can cause temporary or permanent blindness. One of the most insidious and long-lasting effects of nuclear weapons is radioactive fallout. This invisible killer consists of radioactive particles that are released into the atmosphere by the explosion. Fallout can contaminate water supplies, food sources, and the environment, posing a serious threat to human health for years or even decades after a nuclear detonation. The Cold War, a nuclear stalemate. The dropping of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki ushered in the Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. Both superpowers engaged in a frantic arms race, amassing vast arsenals of nuclear weapons. The fear of mutually assured destruction, MAD, became a defining characteristic of this era. The Cold War was marked by a series of proxy wars, espionage, and propaganda campaigns, as the two superpowers vied for global dominance. The threat of nuclear war loomed large, casting a shadow over everyday life. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, when the US and the Soviet Union came perilously close to nuclear war, highlighted the fragility of peace in the nuclear age. Despite the constant threat of annihilation, the Cold War also saw efforts to control the spread of nuclear weapons and prevent nuclear war. The signing of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, in 1968, was a significant step towards limiting the number of nuclear-armed states. Section 5. Proliferation, the spread of nuclear weapons. Despite international efforts to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons, the World War II era has seen a proliferation of these deadly weapons. Several countries, including the United Kingdom, France, China, India, Pakistan, and North Korea, have developed and tested nuclear weapons. The proliferation of nuclear weapons raises serious concerns about regional stability, the potential for accidental or unauthorized use, and the risk of nuclear terrorism. The international community continues to grapple with the challenge of preventing further proliferation and promoting nuclear disarmament. The pursuit of nuclear weapons by states like Iran and North Korea remains a major source of tension in international relations. The development of new technologies such as ballistic missile defense systems further complicates the strategic balance and raises questions about the future of nuclear deterrence. Section 6. The Morality of Armageddon. Ethical Debates. The use of nuclear weapons raises profound ethical and moral questions. Critics argue that the indiscriminate nature of these weapons, which cannot distinguish between civilians and military targets, violates fundamental principles of just war theory. The long-term consequences of nuclear war, including the potential for global famine and environmental catastrophe, further underscore the moral imperative to prevent their use. Proponents of nuclear deterrence argue that the possession of nuclear weapons, while undesirable, serves as a deterrent against attack, ensuring peace through a balance of terror. They contend that the threat of massive retaliation has prevented large-scale conflicts between nuclear-armed states. The debate over the ethics of nuclear weapons is likely to continue as long as these weapons exist. The development of new technologies, such as autonomous weapon systems, raises new ethical dilemmas and highlights the need for ongoing dialogue and international cooperation. Living under the shadow of nuclear weapons has had profound social and political impacts. The fear of nuclear war, a stark reality during the Cold War, found its way into books, films, and music, permeating popular culture. Communities built fallout shelters and practiced duck-and-cover drills, reflecting the deep anxieties of a generation threatened by nuclear annihilation. The nuclear arms race not only diverted vast resources from social programs, but also came with significant economic and environmental costs. The legacy of nuclear testing continues to haunt communities with land contamination and health problems among downwinders. Today, the threat of nuclear terrorism remains a major concern, with the potential for non-state actors to acquire nuclear capabilities or create dirty bombs, posing significant challenges to global security. Since the horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world has embarked on a long and winding road towards nuclear disarmament. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, or NPT, which began in 1970, aims to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and promote disarmament. While the NPT has successfully limited the number of nuclear-armed states, it has faced criticism for its slow progress on disarmament. The recognized nuclear states under the treaty, the United States, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom, have been slow to reduce their arsenals. Despite these challenges, there have been successes, such as the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or START, which led to significant reductions in US and Russian arsenals, and the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, or CTBT, which prohibits all nuclear explosions, though it is not yet in force. The rise of international terrorism has introduced a new dimension to the nuclear threat. The potential for terrorist groups to acquire nuclear weapons or materials is a grave concern. Unlike nation-states, terrorist groups are not deterred by the threat of retaliation and may be driven by ideologies, religious fanaticism, or a desire to cause mass casualties. The catastrophic consequences of a nuclear attack by a terrorist group would cause not only widespread panic and economic disruption, but also a profound loss of faith in governments to ensure security. Addressing this threat requires a multifaceted approach, including enhanced nuclear security measures, better intelligence sharing among nations, and tackling the root causes of terrorism through international cooperation. The future of nuclear weapons is marked by hope and uncertainty. While some experts believe the risk of nuclear war has decreased since the Cold War, challenges persist, including the existence of nuclear arsenals, the risk of proliferation, nuclear terrorism, and emerging technologies. The end of the US-Soviet rivalry has reduced the likelihood of large-scale nuclear conflict, yet regional tensions and the rise of new nuclear powers continue to pose risks. Achieving a world free of nuclear weapons will require sustained commitment to diplomacy, arms control, and disarmament, as well as addressing underlying conflicts such as poverty, inequality, and political instability. The future of humanity may well depend on our ability to navigate these complex challenges.